What a weekend. What a weekend we just had. It is Sunday. We just got home about 25 minutes ago. Eshaun got off his flight a couple hours ago. I think he got a quick nap in before the pod. So we are here for you guys. We are here getting ready to rock and roll this thing. I am excited to talk about the entire weekend. It was cool for us to get together. We haven't gotten together. Man, what has it been, a year? Probably. Was it last Labor Day weekend, right? For All Out?
All Out, yeah.
Yep, I think that was the last time the three of us got together, just in general. But it was also for a wrestling show. So it was super cool. Got together on Friday night, went to dinner, had some drinks with friends. Doubled up on Saturday. If you guys follow the Twitter, that's F&W. You saw my boy, Eshaun, at the wine tasting, hanging on for dear life to get to SummerSlam. He got through it. Didn't go to sleep during the show. So it was good. It was awesome to get back coursing the hometown of Detroit. Detroit was off the hook downtown on Saturday. They had the Tiger game. I think they had a concert down there. We got down there super early, so we didn't have to deal with the traffic, but we didn't end up getting out of downtown until like 1:30 at night. Granted, the show, I think, ran until, was it midnight? About 12,
11:37. Oh, I thought it was later than that.
Almost
midnight, or earlier than that.
Yeah, right around there. So got out, and now we're here. We are here to talk about it. Welcome to the TFW Podcast. You guys know it's the usual suspects. I am Matt. We have Rhodesia. We have Eshaun. Back in our respective homes. We are in Chicago. We are in Atlanta. Just came from Detroit. All good things come to an end. All good streaks. All good streaks.
Hey.
Good or bad. Have to be broken. I think it's safe to say the streak where everything was Skittles and rainbows maybe about done. It was definitely done last night at SummerSlam. The main event. Let's get into it, guys. We talked already. Of course, we were at the show together. We met up at the end. I'm going to let y'all go first. Let's start with the main event, then we'll work our way, of course, from first match through the co-main, the women's triple threat match. Rhodesia, let's start with you.
Okay.
Tribal Combat.
Mm-hmm.
Asked you guys a couple weeks ago. I said, hey, are you guys more excited, less excited, same excited? When they announced Tribal Combat, we know there's going to be shenanigans. There's no DQ, so we know that's going to factor into the finish. I didn't think it would also factor into the match as much as it did. We knew there was going to be some shenanigans. Give me your thoughts about what we saw last night in the main event and what we saw with that finish of Jimmy returning and setting us back 3 years in storyline to turn on his brother Jey.
Okay. What you're not going to do is you're not going to come in here and completely trash the Bloodline storyline.
Oh, my bad. I haven't said one negative thing yet.
Okay, all right, fine. Okay, whatever. Okay, you said, well, you pre-positioning it as such. Like, come on,
I'm taking my
dude.
shoes off. I'm getting comfortable.
Anyways, in full transparency, I was kind of in and out of the match last night. I was really, really sleepy. But in real live action, I thought the match was quite boring. I didn't quite understand the flow of it. It seemed like it was just kind of stagnant throughout the whole match. And Roman has really slow matches. But watching it again on the car ride back, it was nothing like what I thought at all. I actually thought watching the playback on TV, it actually came across very well. I actually probably was grading that match a D like dog to begin with, but now I'm actually grading it as an A, maybe an A minus. But overall, I actually liked the match on TV, not live. Now, I don't know what that says about the match because it was such a stark difference between being in person over watching on TV. Overall, I liked the match watching it on TV. Now, Jimmy, I really, after seeing how it played out on TV, it really leads me to believe that now we're going to probably see something as Survivor Series as a Fatal 4-Way or something sooner. I don't know if it could last that long, but it was almost at the end of the match where Solo has some tension with Roman, and then Jimmy never really quite had any interaction with Solo or Roman. So, and then as Jimmy's walking away, Roman's kind of looking kind of perplexed, like, what's going on here? So I just think that was just their way of now trying to make it like, hey, it's now 4 of us. Who really should be the tribal chief at this point? That's the only way that I'm settling kind of my nerves of like, this doesn't seem right to me. But overall, I still give the situation an B. But the match itself was, I would say, A- after watching it on TV.
As Matt put it very early on, like, it was a great weekend. Family, friends, wrestling. We home in Detroit. It was a great weekend for me, man. And as Matt said, and he put me on shame and on blast all over the interest nets. My current state. Well,
that boy was hanging on for dear life.
Oh my God, I was. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It was rough. What was our brother, man, that said get me a Red Bull stat? Remember that guy? I was so gone.
Ian?
I don't know who said it.
Not Ian. Was it Ian?
I don't think so. Okay. Let me pull it up so I have it. He was right.
You was right. I needed some help, man. I was putting my hand out there, and I'm saying all that to say all this is that by the end of the night, I'm still kind of coming off an emotional high of just the great vibes and energy that was in the crowd. We had sat next to some nice.
Our boy Yusuf said that.
Yusuf, yes, sir. So we had sat next to a couple of nice fans in the crowd. It was just a cool night overall. I would say, just early on, I would say it's a good show overall. So I don't think I thought as negatively about the main event as you may have thought, Matt. We didn't go into detail. I wanted to hear what you had to say on the pod.
Right.
But I think we both agreed. I looked at you and I kind of gritted my teeth like that main event wasn't what I was looking for, right? I don't think that's what we expected. And I'll say this also, like I think this might be my last stadium show. These stadium shows just aren't for me. Like we had really exceptional seats, and even still, I found myself half the time looking on the monitor, looking on the Tron, and I could do that at home. Like look, to be honest with you, I worked really hard to provide a nice, lifestyle for my family and have a nice daddy cave. I can be at home in my own comfortable, daddy cave on my recliner, and I can get the full presentation, right? Because I didn't see the match. I'm not sure what presentation was provided on TV that I didn't get, watching it live. But I'm guessing listening to Rhodesia, it definitely added it. So all of that to say this is that I was underwhelmed by the final match itself. I didn't think it was a bad match by any means. But again, we're going into almost, midnight after a really long day, and that match just seemed really slow. Sometimes I didn't know what was going on. I was underwhelmed by the wrestling. I was underwhelmed by the finish. As Matt said, we talked about it like maybe a few episodes ago. We kind of said that, I think one of us mentioned it. I think I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I think I might have mentioned like, Jimmy's gonna come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
he's
I think you talked about that. Yeah, you were like, what if he caused Jey? I was like, man, that don't make no sense. And we kind of moved on from it.
We moved on real quick. What's what happened? But we didn't want that to happen. Like, right? Because it's like, all right, because like it's in my mind from another booking perspective. All right, Jimmy has been gone, so he's going to play a factor, right? Because we know he's not legit hurt. He's just sitting on the side for storyline purposes. So when he comes back, it has to be big, right? So what's bigger than him costing his twin brother the championship? Like, right? What's bigger than that?
Him helping him win the championship?
not just because we expect that. We expect that. We didn't expect, like, and as soon as I saw him come out there, I'm like, oh, that's Jimmy. With the hoodie, I knew that's Jimmy, body type and everything. I'm like, oh, that's Jimmy. That's huge, right? From a storyline perspective. Because now it's like the drama is why? Why, right, Jimmy? Right. Why? Why did you do it? This is your idea. You wanted Jey to be in the position. You wanted Jey to break away from the. Why are you doing this, right? So that's the next questions that we have to ask. That's why Roman's looking like that. But at the same time, it seems like, as you said, man, it's kind of like it's another way to kind of bring them all back together. Like maybe I'm thinking Jimmy's like, oh, I had to do this because, Roman is the number one spot and Jey, you tearing the family apart it's my bad. I got to make this right by taking you out type of thing, which is another story, but it's not something I wanted to see. So it's an underwhelming finish for me. Underwhelming match overall. Again, like I don't care what was presented on television. Like from a live audience perspective, if you're in that stadium, I'm pretty sure you paid a pretty penny to be there, and that I should get the same experience, if not more of experience, watching it live. And I didn't necessarily feel that in that match. So if I was to grade that match, I'll probably give it a D. I'm not going to give it more than a D. It still is passing, like, right? But I don't want to say I'm interested in knowing where it goes, because I'm sure it's going to be interesting, right? I mean, all the men involved in it, they haven't failed us yet. So I'm sure the next chapter to this story is going to be as rich and flavorful as it has been for the past 3 years. But it just was overwhelming for me as a fan.
Eric, you touched on a lot. So I'll try to just hit kind of a lot of what you touched on. And Rhodesia, you can chime in, of course, when you want to. One, you talked about the stadium piece. Average ticket price last night was $165. Either $165 or $162. One of the two. So when you're paying that much money on average, of course, our tickets were significantly more than that because you're talking average. You should be able to get the entire experience at the stadium itself. The match sucked in person. The match sucked on TV. It did.
It did.
Was it better? Was it better on television? Yes, it was better on television. Still wasn't good. They were stuck in first gear. They never got out of first gear. And that was the way it was the entire match. And if you guys don't know what I mean by first gear, we know matches, you want to tell the story, so you ramp up. You ramp up to the end. And typically there's a spot in the match where you look at it as, okay, now this is the second half of the match and it's go time. Either the speed picks up, the physicality picks up. It never did. I don't care about the kendo stick shots. I don't care about the steel chair shots. They were still in first gear. So I'm watching this match and they're taking a long time to get going. And then they start getting going. You get one big move and then there's a lull again. Now, granted, you guys got to remember too, we're in the stadium. So we don't hear the commentary, which helps alleviate some of that dead air when you're watching, right? So when it's taking them a long time to go through the crowd back to the ring, all we're seeing is them taking a long time to go from the crowd to the ring. We're not hearing the explanation of, we knew all this was coming. We knew what this was. If this is, surprising you, you haven't been watching, et cetera, et cetera. We don't get that. We're just literally watching what we're seeing. It just never got going. And so then I'm watching. I'm like, okay, you know what this tells me? This tells me that the finish is about to be off the charts crazy because they're saving something. And
they
then
did.
We get the solo interference and they're still
They
in first gear. And now I'm at a point where I'm
something.
like, okay, to hell with the finish being crazy. What happens afterwards, it must be movie magic 101. Because the match has been so lackluster to me that they have to finish this show, which has been a damn strong show up to this point, off on a bang. Jimmy unveils himself, and now I'm disgusted because I know this is the finish, and I know this is all we got. In the stadium, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. In the stadium, it wasn't great. And the thing about stadium shows, now that match would come across completely different if it was in an arena. Stadium shows, to your point, they're
huge.
It's massive. And Ford Field, as you guys, if you've never been to Ford Field, it's one of the biggest football stadiums in United States. That was where WrestleMania 23 was. Before they went to Dallas, that was the second biggest WrestleMania in history. This show was one of the biggest shows in U.S. history outside of WrestleMania. I think it was the biggest show.
I think they said it was the biggest.
So you guys can imagine just how huge this is. They announced it at 59,000. They had closer to 52,000 in attendance, but that's massive. I always get seats typically right across from the hard cam. I did the same this time. So we're right across from the hard cam, not on the floor. Rhodesia's 4'11". If we don't get first two rows, she's not seeing anything.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, all right, we'll get first level.
I can't see the bottom of the mat, actually.
Facts. I'm 5'9" and I can't see.
So like it's like because people start standing and all that. So it's like, no, you want to be able to enjoy yourself. So we'll always do first level and try to get as close down. So yesterday we had row 4, right? So seats were fantastic, but you lose a lot of the oomph and the physicality because you're in a huge stadium. If that match was in an arena, it feels completely different live.
We would have been much closer. I was saying, I was like level. Yeah. I was like in the 4th row, right off the floor, just as you were. In an arena, we would have been almost breathing like the same, like next to these guys, right?
Typically, that close, stadium, you're hearing Roman. You can hear Roman when you're that close in the stadium or in the arena. You couldn't hear anything at all. So, but we know that's part of it. I knew, like, all right, I'm going to have to watch it back to get the full story of what they're saying, et cetera, et cetera. Even with that, the physicality to me just did not line up to what this was supposed to be. This was supposed to be, if we made it tribal combat because it has to have a winner. This is, what all the words they tried to use. We didn't get that. We didn't get it. So then that told me too that, okay, this isn't over. And I'm like, all right, I'm a little upset and irritated because I feel like this was the first finish in the first match that we could have not had in the Bloodline saga. A month ago, 2 months ago, actually, after Solo and Roman lost to KO and Sammy. You guys remember I came on here and I said, we're getting a Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam. Each Bloodline member in the corner for the Universal Championship. And then they went with, the Civil War at Money in the Bank. Then we go Jey and Roman. I think we are still going to get an Uso in each corner, probably at Survivor Series. But I feel like this was a waste of time because the match was so lacking. So I don't know if they were just holding back and just saying like, hey, we know we got some more months of physicality between us, so we won't give a lot. But they didn't do much in that match. And y'all know I have been a massive proponent of the Bloodline and everything Roman has done and everything Heyman has done and everything the Usos have done and Solo has done. But the structure of the matches are now becoming to where I can call what's going to happen. We got to switch it up a little bit. Came out here and talked about it when Roman wrestled Sammy. Roman comes in, he's cocky. Crowd gets on him. He gets the worried look. He's still cocky. The face does something that kind of gets him off his game. Now, it's kind of the same thing. And it was the same thing last night. But the difference was there wasn't enough physicality, in my opinion, to justify the close calls. Jay's not winning off one super kick. We know that. Jay's not winning off of one splash. We know that. And those were the hope spots. Those were the false finishes last night. It just wasn't enough.
I think you've been really critical on that match. When you say that there wasn't enough physicality, you mean maybe on Roman's side, but Jey brought it. Jey did a lot of spears. He did a lot of John Suicide as he does. He did a whole lot of things. He did a whole lot of John Suicide as he does. He did frog splashes onto tables and announcer tables. Jey brought it. Jey, to the point where when they went out there, he had to get a little swig of water because he was a little thirsty. He needed a little water in him. But Jey did a lot in that match. It was a lot of physicality on
First
that.
gear. Now, if we were in the second and third gear, cool. I understand what you're saying. But it was one spot in the match. They're probably 6-7 minutes in. And they're like breathing hard. And not because they're out of shape, but that's like the story they're telling. And I think Cole or Graves even says on commentary at one point, Roman's exhausted.
You're like, why? He was like, why is Roman exhausted?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I thought that you could have put any of the other, they're calling it 4 main events in that final spot.
4 main events.
And we are talking about a different feeling show. If you would have ended the show with EO raising that belt above her head after the cash in, I probably would have came on here and said that's arguably one of the better SummerSlams we've seen in a very long time. And it was an absolute home run. And the show probably was still a home run. The main event just left a bad taste in my mouth because I was expecting way more than what we got.
I'll tell you this, like I don't think you would have felt that way. I think this was the biggest match on the card, and it was the right one to end with. Roman and Jey was by far the biggest match on that card with the biggest storyline in wrestling history. So they did right. I think, just talking to you, because I kind of, number one, I was tired, right? I was kind of running out of energy already. So I was like, well, we'll just save it for the pod. But I'm listening to you talk about like the physicality in the matches, and you said you didn't believe in the hope spots. Do you think that's some of that feelings because Jey isn't an established singles wrestler?
Like, I thought about that too.
You don't,
I thought about that too.
You talked about his super kicks, his splashes, etc. Those are his signature moves, right? But they're not anything he's specifically won in the past with. Consistently, because he hasn't been a singles wrestler consistently or much of all, right? Whereas with Sami's been a career singles wrestler for the most part, and he has his signature spots and finishers that that could potentially end the match. So even when Jey is doing the spears, we know very rarely as wrestling fans that the wrestler that mimics someone else's finish rarely wins with it.
Right.
Right. So he can do as many spears as he wants. We know he's not winning with that spear. And to be honest with you, it's only a certain amount of wrestlers that actually are, finishing with spears. Anyway, everybody in the company does a spear. It's interesting that that's Roman's finisher because that move is becoming like a super kick in a lot of ways. Everybody's doing the damn spear, right? But it's when Roman does it, it's his finisher. That's going to work. So like Jey's hope spots, they're not hope spots because we don't know what we're hoping for because we've never seen him pin or win with those moves. Would you think that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought about that. I thought about that last night, and I thought about it even more when I rewatched it on the drive back of the thought of, is Jey a top guy without Roman? And last night was the first time where I was kind of like, well, maybe he's not.
But I think they made him look like that, though.
But granted, the match is structured completely different. And this may sound like I am completely... I didn't get a chance to watch him and Solo from SmackDown. I kid you not. I promise you. I thought the match Jey had with Grayson Waller a couple weeks ago on SmackDown was better than him and Roman last night.
Okay, but Grayson Waller is a completely different wrestler than Roman Reigns.
I know,
that would be one of my favorite matches. I don't really care for Roman's wrestling. I don't care so much about his matches. I'm intrigued about his character. And I'm bought into the Bloodline storyline, but I've never been super fan of Roman matches.
Yeah, I think you said that last night. Either you said that last night or earlier today. But my argument would be the match with him and Sami at Elimination Chamber was fantastic. The match with him and Cody at Mania was great. The match with him and KO at the Rumble was what it was. I mean, that one was kind of...
I give you Cody, maybe. And I give you Sami for a little bit. But overall, Roman, I'm going back these last 7 years now, 7 years since he's been main eventing and the matches that he's had. They've always been slow. They've always been like they're not getting out of first gear.
But it'll kick up. Like if the match is typically 25 minutes, first 12 would be like that. We kick up around the 15, 16 minute mark. And then the last 5 minutes, we're off to the races. They were just stuck in first gear. That's all.
I would say this. I'm not going to go back and watch that match, but I think that I probably would have. I'm not going back and watch that. But I do feel like I probably would have gave it another point and a half. Probably I watched it on television. I think probably the talking. I enjoy the Roman talking back and forth. I think the talking between the two of them.
Paulie was talking.
Yeah, I think that would have been added a lot of interesting things to the match. I think the commentary, talking about the story in between the transitions probably would have helped it as well. So I think that for me, at least for me, like I think not having those things really, limited my enjoyment for the actual match, especially with it being so long. So I definitely agree with that. But another thing I want to say to you guys too about that match is that, I stayed to the very end. I'm not sure when you guys left. Did you guys stay to the very end?
To the bitter end.
Yeah, well, we stayed until
and the lights came on.
Yeah, they said thank you, Detroit.
Until Jey started walking.
Yeah. When they cut the lights on, Jey was walking. Yeah.
Did you notice the lack of reaction while he still was in the ring? Right. It was like a lot. Like he kind of stood there, and everybody kind of was like getting up, like, "All right, it's time to go."
But I also think that because people didn't realize he was still in the ring. to the point where
they realized he was in the ring.
I didn't realize
wasn't
that
the
he was in the
case.
ring until I heard a pop.
I did.
There was
I
a good
think
portion of people that still realized he was in the ring. Yeah, good portion. Of people.
And I think that just showed how the entire match was. So there was 3 spots in the entire match that got a big reaction. It was Solo showing up.
Mm-hmm.
It was the table spot where Jey put Roman through the table.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was like 4. It was like 4 because then they started "This is awesome" chant, and I was like, but it's not. This is what they gave us so far. Like this is just one of the bigger things that happened in this match. And then of course when
so hard on this match.
When Jimmy showed up,
he is so hard on this match
because it wasn't good. And remember, this is the second biggest pay-per-view of the year in front of that many people, where this is supposed to be. And I talked about it on the last pod, and now it makes all the sense in the world. What did I come out here and say? I said, man, this feels like they are not promoting him properly as this is the final. This is the finale. This is what it's all been leading up to. This is the 3 years, and now we know it's not, and that's why it wasn't. But to your point, I would honestly, I said it sucked live. It sucked on TV. It didn't suck on TV. I would probably have given it a D minus live. It's a C minus, C plus on TV. But still, it was nowhere near close to the best match on the card. It was nowhere near
not
close
at all.
to the second best match on the card.
No, not at all.
It was nowhere near close being the third match on the card. Mm-hmm. And if you are finishing your second biggest pay-per-view with that match, that has to be at least in the top 3. And even the top 3 may be a failure. Top 2, you say, okay, that's cool. But yep, out of the 4 main events, quote unquote, that was the worst. And I think it was by far the worst.
Oh, I agree. I definitely agree. It's some nice storming out here in Atlanta. Nice. I was trying to say this about the Jey being in the ring, because you would think that he's still in the ring. You get the clap. Hey, Jey, you did a good job, right, or whatever. But he got none of that, right? I think that finish really deflated the audience.
They did. In the match. I'm sorry. That was the point I was trying to get at. The match also. Yeah. The match was also because there wasn't a lot.
But you get that match. And then you get that ending, right? And I know you guys weren't super invested in Cody and his story, and you didn't really care if he lost. But it was I think that was the second deflating ending for a vast majority of the fans that Roman's had, right? Like something like this. Look, I thought, like, I know you guys are get easily sold on things. You guys are super hype on Jey and his possibility of superstar, but I know ultimately you guys didn't think he could win, and that's part of the problem with this run that we're having with Roman right now. It's kind of getting to the point to where it's like, geez, like this dude is just coming out on top every single time. He barely wrestles, and when he does, he just comes out on top. Like, right? Like we're gonna root for these guys. We're gonna root for Jey. We're gonna root for Cody. We're gonna root for whoever it is to try to overcome this juggernaut of a bad guy, and he's just gonna keep winning. Right? It's just the same thing. So then people get up and they walk out, to little fanfare. To me, I think maybe that might be becoming a problem.
Well, Cody got a much bigger reaction at Mania when the match was over, and there were people talking. It was still quiet at the end of Mania, but there were still people talking. They were having conversations. Last night, honestly, the only conversations I heard were people still screaming out, yeah, like LA Knight. After the show was over in the concourse.
It was like an afterthought. The match was an afterthought. It's quietness. Whereas at WrestleMania, it was more like a disbelief, like, oh my God, I can't believe I just saw that.
Can you believe that? Because the match was still strong, and you were just like, I just knew Cody was going to win. Mm-hmm. And you had some, of course, Roman fans that was excited. Last night was more of like, are we doing this shit again? And that's what it feels like.
And I know, look, how many of us was in that crowd? In that stadium? How many of us? And we walking out of that stadium.
52,000. Mm-hmm.
We walking out of that stadium that quiet. Because
on the surface it doesn't make sense. Like it wasn't even that Roman won. It was
why
for real Jimmy.
For me, it was Jimmy. It was for me. Yep.
Because when Roman came out 2 weeks ago and made the comment about this is all your fault. You did this to Jimmy. And remember, I came out here and I was like, why is he gassed? That don't even make sense. Like, did we forget? Jimmy was the first one to kick Roman. Mm-hmm. And to your point, we know he's going to say something on Friday, and it's like, okay, I guess if you look at it that way, I guess that makes sense.
Maybe he's a manipulator.
Maybe his beef is only that you should have went after just being the head table and you wanted. I don't know. I can't even.
I'm telling you. I think it's going to be. No, it's going to now be, now that we know Roman needs to step down, we need to have a fair fight of who's going to be the new tribal leader. I'm telling you, because you saw it in Solo's eyes against Roman when Roman was trying to ask to get helped up. You saw it there. And then with Jimmy, didn't even make any eye contact with the rest of them. You saw like each person was individually on their own. I'm telling you.
That doesn't make sense because the night Jimmy went out, when they destroyed him, was the night where Roman acted like he was about to give him the tribal chief, and Jimmy sat back. So that doesn't make sense either.
But it gave him time to
they'll
figure
something out. They'll
figure
something out on
Friday.
Friday.
And honestly, the Solo, he's mad at Roman thing. I hate those wrestling spots right there, right? To where
I thought that was lazy too.
They've been working together this whole match. Obviously, right?
That was lazy
Roman
too.
threw you into him. Jay threw him into it, right? Yeah. Obviously, Jay caused.
He didn't do it on purpose.
The miscommunication. Yeah. He didn't do it on purpose. And Solo, you hit me? You're like, bro, you know he didn't do it on purpose, man. Jay did that. Like, right? Yep. Why are you sitting there taking time to yell at Roman? Oh, you hit me? Yeah, he hit you because he threw him into you. That's what happens. Like, right? If you throw something against the wall, it's gonna hit. Like, right? Like,
I agree.
It's like that was just like, I don't know if it was lazy, but it was stupid to me, right? So like that's causing friction so just the whole match just it didn't hit the way I think it was intended to hit, just from start to finish, from the story they were telling, from the matches that was presented to the finish. And like I said, to me, like it was just kind of eye opening when I stood there and I watched Jimmy walk away, and nobody. It's like you saw a couple people like Jay, but like pretty much for the most part, I don't want to say it, but I think Detroit just got turned their back and left. I don't say turned their back on Jay, but they sure didn't prop him up. It's like, hey, Jay, you did a good job, man. Oh, Jay, you got I'm losing the word right now, but they stole the championship from you. They stole the crown from you. Your brother did that. Like, there was no sympathy to Jay. It seemed like we just walked away and said, "Ah, shit," and then we got up and left. That's what it seemed like to me. And I think the intention was to get some sympathy and feel like, Jay was stolen for us to continue to root behind him, but we didn't. We got up and turned our back and left.
I stayed off the internet for the most part last night. My phone died. But I stayed off because I didn't want to get spoiled off of Collision. So watched Collision earlier this morning. I was able to kind of get on Twitter just a little bit. And the overall consistency from what I saw, because I'm like, when I watch this match, I'm like, I would love to know what people are thinking. So I stayed off yesterday. So I look at today. From what I could see, the majority of people thought the match was okay. I didn't see anybody saying the match was incredible or was fantastic. I did see a few like that sucked for sure. I saw that. It wasn't as many as it was okay. I saw a couple of, all right, this feels like this story has ran its course and now they're pulling at straws to try to figure out how to keep it going. I can't say I can't go that far just because I thought we were getting one noose in each corner at SummerSlam. So if that gets us to Survivor Series, then we know the story's not done yet. But overall, it left a bad taste in my mouth. It really, really did. And I think just to wrap this, and we'll go and talk about, which everything else is almost great across the board. It didn't help we were in the stadium, to your point, E. It also didn't help, too, that when you're in those type of stadiums, like WrestleMania, I'm good on because they have the massive stage. And I hate looking at the screen.
Yeah.
I hate looking at the screen because I feel like if I spent this money, I'm looking at the ring. Right. And like I said, typically, we're in a good enough situation where we always have fantastic seats so we can see the ring. But if they would have had the huge stadium stage, I think we also could have been able to feel it a little bit more in some of those matches.
Absolutely.
But when they didn't, and the only screen they have, the only trying is the legit scoreboards at each of the end zones. Depending on where you're sitting, it may not be in great view. Like we don't at Ford Field, there's not a big scoreboard above the stadium. So there is nothing above the stadium. It is literally, you got to look end zone to end zone. I think that was part of it as well. That it's like, all right, well, it's kind of hard just to see just really what's going on at times. And I haven't felt that way at a stadium show since probably Mania in New York. We had floor seats there, and we had a straight shot. So it was a straight view from, we're sitting and you can see the stage in front of you with the ring. And that was when I was like, man, I bet this show is coming off much better on TV. That was the one where Kofi won against Daniel Bryan. And it did come across better on TV. And I was like, all right, I got to find a section to stick to. And typically, like I said, we always do right across from hard cam, and those you can really see. Yesterday, in that particular match, it didn't translate, but I will say it translated in the majority of matches. Mm-hmm. Let's start at the top. They started hot with Ricochet and Logan Paul. I was wrong. I think we all picked. Did we all pick Ricochet?
I think we all
wanted Ricochet to win.
Because it was like, you're not going to talk about your fiance.
You're not going to talk about
Samantha
like that.
Get away with it. But they were in cahoots anyways, wearing the same color. I'm like, oh, come on. Why'd you do that? You know what color Ricochet was wearing. But man, how incredible was that match?
With the brass knucks, I think they were hyping this match as like the viral moment. So I was waiting for the one big major moment, like the crossbody block, the Spanish fly through the table. We didn't get the one moment. I think the one moment probably would have been the Spanish fly outside the ring. They both lay on their feet. But Ricochet buckled a little bit, and I think he kind of came down on his knee a little bit, so it didn't make the spot look as clean. But they had about 4 or 5 pretty fantastic spots in that match. Like I said, Logan Paul wins with the brass knucks, which was surprising. I thought overall was a fantastic match. Rhodesia made a comment during the match last night, or maybe right after. She's like, I didn't like that match. Ricochet was working slow.
I didn't say I didn't like the match. I know. I said, is it just me, or does it feel like Ricochet is moving in very, very slow?
That's what it was. You say you didn't like Ricochet was moving really, really slow.
Yes.
I say he's not moving slow. He's working a big WWE style match. His pacing is it's not just spot.
Mm-hmm.
So live, I was able to see it and appreciate it. And then we watched that match back along with the main event. And Rhodesia was like, yeah, that match was
incredible.
That was great.
And I might be dealing with some recency bias right now, but I think that was the most technically sound Logan Paul I've seen. Would you agree? Between just the moves that he gave and took, and just all of that.
How many matches has he had?
I was gonna say he's had 4. He's had 4 singles matches. So he's had Miz.
I think he gets better every time.
But he's getting incredibly better.
Tag team match with Miz, then Miz.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he have a match with Seth?
Yeah, didn't he work Seth? He worked Seth, I thought.
Yes. Oh,
he had Roman.
He had Seth. He had Roman in this one.
So no. This is his 5th match.
Yeah. Okay. No. So I mean, 5 matches in.
But he's put on a performance that not a normal 5 matcher, somebody who's under 10 matches should be doing.
No.
And this is his first victory since the Miz, right? He lost to Seth. He lost to Roman.
Something about a year. Has it been a year since he's had a win or something like that? I'm not sure if it's been that long, but I thought I saw something like that.
That may be the case.
That might sound right then, yeah.
Yeah. That may be the case.
And I don't want to pat myself again, but I think I wanted Ricochet to win. That's what we did. I was like, who do we want to win?
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like, Logan Paul, he's a big heel for them. He gotta get some wins, right? And I couldn't think of the last time I seen him win. And I also thought he was bulletproof, so he can probably come back from a loss. But ultimately, you got to get this dude kind of on the streak, right? He can't just be all talk and all mouth, right? So I wasn't surprised that he won the match. It was a really good match. And Samantha, she had some really good facial expressions towards the end of that match too.
She did,
right? When I think Logan Paul asked her, like, "Yo, you going,
say it again?
Say it again. You going?" And she was getting this look like a disgust, and it wasn't an oversell either. It kind of was like a, not like I'm mad, but I'm not gonna let you know I'm mad. I don't want people to know I'm mad. But you irritate me. But it was a good match. It was a solid opener. Logan Paul did it again. You know, like I think he's starting to prove Ric Flair right, and you know maybe Matt wrong.
Oh Lord!
Hey,
Well,
he was
remember-
better
well,
than the main event, right? He was better than the main event.
if that's the case, he
You know what I'm
smokes
saying?
Roman Reigns. He smokes Jey Uso.
Solo, Jimmy,
God,
Don't
man.
Foley up in there too.
He doing it for Rick, so
Yeah, I love the opener. The crowd was super invested in the match.
Throughout,
they were
from beginning to
behind
end, they were there.
Ricochet on top of Logan's head. It was a really strong start. That was probably the right match to open the show. So that one was really, really good. Then we had one of the main events.
So should we grade it or just no?
Oh, we can grade it. What do you want to grade it from?
I'm
You want
gonna
to go A to F or A to E?
Oh, here go y'all mad. Y'all Detroit
there you go.
arithmetics. Here we go. I'm gonna give it an A.
I'm giving that match an A.
Same.
Yep, I'm giving it an A. I'm trying to think if this is my favorite match of the night. Cody and Brock. It may be. It's probably between this and maybe the women's triple threat.
It's a triple threat for me.
Because of the finish.
Yeah. And real quick, just because we already
have to go back and
addressed
think
it,
about that.
I'm gonna give the main event a B because there's no way I'm gonna give Ricochet and them the same grade. So I'm gonna give the main event a B, even watching it back.
Well, yeah, because you said you would have gave it a D just watching it
live
in person. Yeah. Okay. So, and E, you said you gave the main event a D also, right?
A D. Not going back.
Give it to me. We got our number one Cody guy. Give it to me, man. You saw him conquer the beast. I'll talk about how I love the story of this match, but go ahead.
Eshaun didn't have to get kicked out and banned from Ford Field either. So
yeah,
go ahead, Eshaun.
Yeah, I gave that up. I was really relieved that Cody won because I didn't have to do anything emotional because I don't want no parts of Brock. And, you know, shouts out to my brother because actually I didn't know going into the show that my brother actually was a security guard there. He actually was ringside. So, you know, I would have got a double ass whooping. Yeah, because he been beating my ass all my life. I know. Actually, I got him like when I turned 18, his ass came. He came home drinking, talking smack. Right, like he used to do. That's when we got cool too. He came in talking smack, and I'm like, "Look, bro, I ain't 8 years old no more, man. You ain't gonna kick my head through a wall anymore. You touch me right now, man. It's some things gonna happen to you." So he kept talking, and I whooped up on his butt. He came in there drunk, but he should have came right. If he wanted to come for the king, he should have came right. And I took him out. Wow. And I'm glad at SummerSlam in Detroit, I had to take him out on my journey to try to get to Brock. But I know in reality, you know, Marlon probably would have got my tail. Brock would have got me for trying. So I'm glad, I'm relieved that Cody, we did it. We did it, Cody. We did it for the daddies. We got one more notch, you know, and we on to WrestleMania to get that championship to finish the story. It was a great match. It was an amazing. I didn't think that Brock would be raising Cody's hand like that, right? That just shows like look, like he's acknowledging like this is the guy, this is the man, and he's earned my respect. Acknowledge him, like right. So for me, great match. Great finish. I love the show of emotion between, and not just the raising that arm. It seemed like a genuine hug too, because I ain't seen Brock ever hug nobody in the middle of the ring.
Did the bro hug?
I've never seen. I've never exactly did the bro hug. Like I've never seen him do that. I've never seen him put over somebody in that way on such a big stage like this, right? Because you would think that Brock is going away and he ain't coming back or something like that, right? Like it was a sight to see. Amazing finish. Cody and I, we did it. We did it.
Yeah, that's not much more I can say outside of that. It wasn't probably my most favorite match I was looking forward to. But overall, I was there. The emotions was there the whole time. Again, no one thought that he would into the end. You know how we felt about the go home show, how we just knew something else was about to happen, like with Brock. And of course, Cody ran out. But I just knew Brock was about to do one final F5. Even watching the playback of it, I'm like, okay, he still loved him. He still gave him the bro hug because you can't fake the bro hug. He did the bro hug, but I'm like, he held it again one more time. I'm like, yep, this is why he's about to do that F5 just as a send off. He still loves him. He still gives him his respect. But we know how Brock is. He didn't do it. So overall, I thought that match was really good. me not being such a huge Cody fan, I still think that match was really good. I want to say this though, and I caught myself watching it on the playback because, of course, being live, you couldn't see a lot of the spots outside of the ring. Do you think it's getting a little stale with Cody constantly getting beat up a lot?
No, that's what faces do.
Okay.
They fight from underneath. And that's
it
why
seems like it all the time, though. But it seems like it's all the time.
Well, that's what y'all wanted.
Face.
That's what
He's
y'all
their
wanted.
biggest face.
No,
Y'all wanted
I
some
never said that.
struggle.
No.
That.
Again, don't change the narrative. I said that I didn't want him winning the title yet because he hadn't earned it yet. He had just came back. He wasn't even there a full year. And for you to just be handed the championship, I would have been against that. I think most people would be against that. Even people in the locker room probably would have been against that, especially the ones at the top that still can draw numbers. Maybe not your people who's not drawing numbers because you're getting a payday and he's keeping this company strong for you. But overall, I felt like after a while watching all the beat downs and the F5s outside of the ring, I'm like, man, poor Cody. Like,
but that's the story, and that was the beauty of what they did last night in that match. One, I think we talked about stipulation matches, right? This match needs to have a stipulation on it. Cody came out and said that they did not do a stipulation because him and Brock both felt like it would taint the winner because now there's a built-in out. Which I was like, man, that's really good. Like, it's great to hear from wrestlers when you think something as fans. You hear like, oh no, that makes sense. Say they went with last man standing, right? Well, if I laid you out for a count of 8 and then you get up, I could have pinned you and beat you. That's an out. If it's a submission match, I could have pinned you 10 minutes ago, but you wouldn't tap, so like, I thought that was fantastic, but I think both of them thought it was still like some type of stipulation match. I think Brock thought it was the Royal Rumble where he kept throwing Cody out the ring, and then evidently Cody thinks this is a no DQ match. Since when can you pick up the steel steps
Help me understand
and just hit somebody with it, and the match just keeps going?
I
was
about
like,
that.
okay, so we're just gonna skip over the DQ finish. Got it. Sounds good to me. I thought I was watching AEW for a second. I was like, well, we just don't care about the rules. Like on a major match. All right, that's cool. Sounds good. But no, I thought the match was fantastic. The story they told I thought was great. And it's actually to your point, Rhodesia, is that he's not quitting. Just stay down. Brock is, hey, just stay down. Just stay down, dude. Like, it's only gonna get worse for you. You need to quit. And Cody's like, I'm not quitting. You got to throw everything at me, which made the handshake even better at the end because now you've earned my respect. You've earned my respect. You came in here and you got everything handed to you, quote unquote. I'm going now. Now we got to paint our own narrative. See, and they never told us why this feud started anyway. I'm going to go with Brock was like, you are not coming into my promotion and just think that you're about to go get shot straight to the top. You got to come through me.
There we go.
And that was what Cody did. Triple H said at the press conference that handshake was not planned, and that was something that Brock did on his own, which you can tell cool. That's the way it looked.
That's so cool.
So I love that moment. I loved him putting, Cody over like that. To your point, he's never done that. And I even said on our preview show, I was going for have Cody tap Brock and then have them shake hands. Didn't get the tap spot. They went with it, and then he hit him with 3 of his finishers, and then they did the handshake. But that is what you need. It's going to be interesting to see what's next for Cody, because where do you go after Brock? If it is not Randy Orton, which it sounds like Randy has not even been cleared to even bump yet. I guess he was in Detroit.
If he's ever going to be able to clear the bump.
So if it's not Randy, I don't know if it's Bray. Is Bray next for him? But then the word for that too is he's also not cleared. They said that they have not cleared him yet. So you got to take him off the table now. It's gonna be interesting to see what's next for Cody. I don't know where you go from after Brock. You went Roman, you went Seth, Roman, Brock. Who else is on that level?
Hey, real quick though, I just thought about something. I just realized, and in that match, especially on that finish, that Cody did the crossroads. He crossroads Brock so many times. He bust that man out of his shorts.
Yeah, we saw that. We saw that.
That man junk was all exposed, man. I ain't never seen him do the like cut somebody with their pants come off, man. Good Lord. Yeah, but what's next? I mean, it's very interesting. Like I said, I don't think it'll be Randy, and even if it was Randy, I think it would. You will see him finish that story with Matt Riddle. Interesting news about him.
Man, and that's actually the next match. We'll talk about that too. Yeah. But when he got thrown over the top with somebody else at the same time, that's kind of all you need to know on
what they think of him
in the company. Boy, oh boy, yep. So great for that match. I really want to give that match like an A+. I can't because of the steer spot. I'm sorry.
And it was in the first like 2 minutes of the actual match. You're like, okay, wait.
The steer, that was at the end. He already went through his F5s and did all that.
You mean when he picked the steel steps up and hit him?
Yeah. Yeah, that was toward the end.
Look, real quick though. You know, like on the NBA in the finals, the last couple minutes,
the referees just let some things go.
They swallowed the whistle.
Oh yeah.
Big match, SummerSlam, when the main event. She ain't gonna call him that. He swallowed that whistle. Let's see.
I'll give that one an A-. I'll give that match an A-. Like that. That's how high I was on that one.
I give it an A-.
Oh, A+. I thought.
A+. And the story they did tell on commentary was the one line I didn't like. I think it was Cole that said Cody is going from the American Nightmare and becoming Cody Rhodes. I didn't like that. But you could tell that the thing was like, okay, Cody's on his way. I think even Cody said when he was walking to the back after the match, like, we're coming or we're getting there or something to that effect. So that's the story they're telling, that, hey, he's on his trajectory back to getting a title shot. We had all right, motherfuckers, here's the Battle Royal so LA Knight can get on the show match. LA Knight did get on the show and did win. He got a huge ovation. Who had a bigger pop to this point? Was it Cody or was it LA Knight?
Was I even there for the LA Knight for that match?
I think LA Knight got the biggest reaction between those two.
He got a big reaction. I don't know who was bigger, but he did definitely get a big reaction from that crowd. For sure.
I'm glad that they didn't try to outsmart themselves. I was a little worried because LA Knight beat Sheamus on SmackDown. So when they were the final two,
Yep. Here we go.
Here we go. They did say his push starts after SummerSlam, but he won and he got his moment. He got his LA Knight catchphrase a few times. Crowd was thoroughly excited to see him. But to your point about Riddle, man, word came out after he put over Kaiser clean on Raw that WWE is basically not trusting him, and from what I heard, they said they're not pushing him going forward because of his, worry about his personal life and things that can come back up. When I saw that, I was like, well, you're still using him on TV. I don't know if I kind of believe that or not. Then I see him get eliminated. I forgot who the other person was that he got eliminated with.
I can't remember either.
And I was just like, if you get eliminated over the shoulder of a wrestler at the same time as another wrestler, that's not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. So we'll see where he's at. But I thought the Battle Royal was what it was, right? It was a good showcase spot for Omos. I know you are not in favor of this. I still hope he's down with the Profits and Bobby. I think that's a fantastic look for them. And I guess this group is supposed to be heels. They came in on SmackDown and jumped the Brawling Brutes. The Profits did. Got a huge reaction.
Okay.
Huge face reaction. They go up to the top of the stage. Both of them got on suits looking like $1 million. Bobby comes out, and you would have thought it was like the second coming of I don't know who, but you would have thought he got like one of the biggest reactions. He's definitely Black Jesus. And they pop for him too. So I don't think the crowd knows they're supposed to be heels, but we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I mean, do you guys have any thoughts about the Battle Royal?
I completely forgot that match. I think I actually got up during that match. But I popped for Omos so hard, and I was not the only one.
No, you got up at the end because you went to, I think, the bathroom before Shayna and Ronda. So you saw the Battle Royal.
Okay. So overall, I think the battle royals are just battle royals, right? Isn't that just, again, here you go, be quiet. Here's everybody else that's on the card that you want to see kind of match?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kinda.
So there you go.
I was telling somebody, I think, right before the show, and I love battle royals as a kid. It was cool seeing all these wrestlers in one ring together.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I got older, I started not liking them, because then I realized that now you're limiting the real estate. They can't really do much, right? So it's just a lot of clubbing, and it's just a lot of people
kicks,
pretending they're going to throw somebody out, and then they roll back in, and it's just over time. I just got unentertained by watching those battle royals. That's kind of what this was for the most part. It wasn't, it was there. I will say, you guys at Omos, like we were like right across from like the entrance ramp, and like sometimes I couldn't see. Like, I could see their head, and that's about it.
Oh, my gosh.
I saw Omar's big ass. I saw Omar's big ass. Like, I saw, most of his body, like, walking over. Like, I was like, dude, that dude is huge.
I told you, man, when we saw him Mania weekend, and he was standing right in front of me, I laughed. I was like, how is somebody this big and how lean he is?
Yeah.
Like, you also don't get, like, how lean he is unless you see him in person and in regular clothes. But you're just like, dude, like, who made you? Like, how do you look like this?
Like, I get it. Like I hope, honestly, like, I'm not into him right now, though, but I hope he does do well and he figures it out and gets the right role. But I get why they're trying to figure that out as well, because he is a big, massive man. I mean,
he could be an attraction. He could be an attraction.
That's why I think he was put in that battle royal. Like, okay, because some people may have forgot about Omos, right? And then MVP comes out and introduces him, and then it's like, oh, that's right, Omos. And man, imagine them getting together. I think it would be fantastic. So the final four was Sheamus, Bronson Reed, LA Knight, and AJ Styles. Any thoughts on that being well? Karrion Kross was, I think, number 5 or number 6, because he's the one that held AJ's leg when AJ tried to hit the forearm and then got knocked out, got eliminated. So you can throw Kross in there too as being one of the last 5 or 6. Any thoughts on those last 4 people and what that means for their future?
No, not really, not for this battle royal, but I had thought a certain way that AJ Styles had his hero's entrance. I didn't expect that at all. So wasn't it just him and LA Knight who got an entrance?
And Miz got one.
Oh, Miz got it. Yeah, but I'm just like, whoa, I didn't even know AJ Styles was over enough like that. So I don't know where that came from.
He's a legend. That's why, like, we know that he could be much more than what he is. We feel like they've kind of been misusing him, or he's not as big as he could be, but he's still, as you can see, he's still a top guy.
Hey, here's the problem with AJ. I know we talked about he's cold. The problem with AJ, man, I think they squeezed all the juice out of him. I'll be honest with you. I think because he's been, like he wasn't Vince's guy when he first got there, but through just skill, determination, and performance, he became one of the guys. Vince legit, I would say, put him in a valuable spot for a good run of his career. I think his WWE career, I follow AJ really starting in TNA, and he had a great run in TNA. But from a performance, entertainment, charisma, Mike, I think he's been on a whole nother level in WWE than he's ever been than when I saw him in TNA. I didn't see the New Japan run, but I would probably say that this AJ is probably the best AJ he's been in his entire career. And I think that WWE, for the most part, since he's been there, has optimized the use of him. I don't think there's a lot of wrestlers in that company, the Dolph Zigglers, the Nakamura's of the world, who we can say maybe WWE didn't get all they could have out of that wrestler, but I think they squeezed all the juice out of AJ, and that's where we are right now. It's like, he's had multiple heel runs, he's had multiple face runs, he's getting older, right? I think that he's just in a spot now where he's kind of used to kind of bring up other wrestlers, right? So that's what I think it is. I don't know if he's misused, but damn, they put him in every position they can put him in.
That's a good point. I think maybe even also besides saying that they've used up all the juice out of him. One, I think his character hasn't progressed. He's the same person he was 5 years ago. I think that's a big part of it. And I also think too with AJ, like, who is AJ now? Right now, who is AJ? Like, take away his catchphrase, the phenomenal one. Like, who is he? What is he? He's an incredible wrestler. And then that's it. Like, he doesn't have a character. Right now, anyone everyone who is somebody in WWE has a character. Seth Rollins, LA Knight, Logan Paul, Ricochet, Roman, Usos. List
But
goes on.
those are the special ones and the top ones. Like, right? Like Seth he's been trying to find his character himself for years, right? This is just the most variation because he had the Messiah character, he had the Architect before that. Yep. He's had a lot of different characters, and I don't know if it's necessarily a growth because a lot of those characters don't really connect any kind of way, right? A lot of wrestlers are like in the spot that AJ is. They become who they are or whatever that is, right? And I think that's where he is. So I don't know if it's just misused. I just feel like he's one of those wrestlers sometimes, I told you before, like they will probably benefit from a change of scenery with a different mix of talent to kind of freshen themselves up a little bit. I think that's just me. I think they've done all he can do with them. But as far as the rest of the match and the rest of the guys that were in it, like I don't know what the point of the Battle Royal was and why we're doing it. Like I don't know what's in it for anybody to be in
Matt called it. He already named it.
Told you already, but Slim Jim, the Slim Jim.
Oh, Slim Jim too
is what it was. But I told you it was to get.
Did they say that? Did they say that?
Oh yeah,
yeah. It was Slim Jim all everywhere.
Yeah.
They said the winner
I love
does
the commercial.
What?
Did you see the commercial?
No, I didn't. I probably fast
with the LA Knight saying yeah, and then they shot right to Macho Man saying oh yeah afterwards. Commercial was fantastic.
So the winner of the Battle Royal earned the Slim Jim contract. That's what he said.
No,
earned lifetime supply of Slim Jim. Is what
the winner.
All right,
the winner of the Battle Royal.
Outside of our fun made up one, I'm like, why are these guys? Why are these guys in this match? So like for me, it was just cool to get LA Knight out there, right? I'll get a bunch of other people, get him a payday. He got that, and he got an awesome pop at the end. So I'm gonna give that match. I'm gonna give it a C.
I want to grade Battle Royals on a curve. Like I can't compare a Battle Royal to like a regular singles match.
It's on the show because evidently you're grading Roman matches on the curve.
Clearly,
so
I am.
Clearly.
So let's give the Battle Royal a C plus.
I'm gonna go B because LA Knight won. He got his entrance. He got.
Wait a minute, Matt. So Rhodesia, okay. Yeah. So LA Knight came out, one of the biggest pops. Yeah, he won to a biggest pop. Okay. We know that LA Knight's the journey is starting.
The push is coming.
Are you now invested? Because before you wouldn't invest because you felt like the company wasn't in. They were going to be in. It seems like signs point to them being in. What say you? Are you in?
See, this is how. You don't pay attention to me. I told you when I first found out that he liked the chocolate women that I was down with LA Knight. Remember?
Oh, are you?
You remember that?
Oh, remember? Yeah, with him.
When he tried to flirt with me. No,
I thought it was tongue in cheek.
I'm real about mine.
Oh, so you in now? You all the way in?
I already said that I was invested. Once I knew he liked chocolate.
Now he's just like LA Knight for Universal Champion.
Okay.
The undisputed.
So I'm excited to see what this looks like for Friday for him. Now that we heard 2 weeks ago, starting that day, it's all right. It's go time. We'll see what that looks like. The match you were not looking forward to. So there was 2 matches on here you weren't looking forward to. It was Ronda and Shane, and there was another one. I thought you said you weren't looking forward to. What was it? Do you remember?
Well, this was the match I definitely didn't want to watch. I said that the triple threat, I would get up in the beginning of it, and I would make sure I watched at the end.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just have an issue with women's wrestling. Got it. Okay. Ooh. So did you watch any of Shayna and Ronda?
Oh no, I left out. Used the bathroom. Got a chicken cheese steak, and I got 2 strawberry daiquiris. They're pretty good too. And by the time I came back,
you were not by yourself. You were not by yourself.
I was so mad too. I thought I had a great plan, but everybody had the same plan because we all got up. The arena got up.
And this is. I think this is 2-sided. One, there wasn't a match to miss on this show. This show was put together extremely well. So if there was one you had to miss,
this was it.
It was probably this one. And as soon as they showed the promo package for Shayna and Ronda, I don't want to be full of hyperbole, but I would say 15 to 20% of the crowd
I might go higher than that.
Because you're talking, because me going 15, 20%, there was 52,000 people there. You're talking about 10,000 people, right? Like, that's a lot. But it was like droves went to the exits to get, concessions or go to the bathroom. Shayna wins. This match, I thought the crowd didn't give it a shot. They started chanting boring 2 minutes in. It's like, match hasn't even gotten started yet. I was a little turned off by that from the crowd. You can, in one instance, talk about respect women's wrestling, and you want Rhea on the card, you want Becky on the card, you want Trish on the card, but then you shit on one of the... There's only 7 to 8 matches on this card. Every match is a high-profile match, and you don't even give them a shot. Let these girls work and get you involved in it. Match didn't go long, but I do think this is also one of those matches that don't put in a stadium setting. It's another match that comes across completely different in an arena than it does in a stadium, especially when you're talking MMA rules. Mm-hmm. There's no high spots. You know what I mean? Like, so you're talking wrestling, you're talking, simulated MMA moves. I enjoyed it for what it was. She had Ronda go to sleep. I don't know how I feel about that. Just because I keep going back to, man, this is really Ronda's exit for a very long time or forever in WWE. Man, I kind of expected a little bit more. But I thought the match was worked really well for what it was. What do you think, Rhodesia?
I'm going to give the match an A, so I'm just going to end it there. No, I'm joking. No. Overall, I was really interested to see how they were going to mix in this MMA rules to a professional wrestling match. I thought they did a great job in that. Now, this probably was like the only match that I was awake for and completely engaged from beginning to end. And I thought that it was a great match. Like you said, maybe it came off better on TV, but the moves that they were doing, it was the best blend of an MMA pro wrestling match that I thought I would have been able to see. And again, like I said, it was so sad to hear people say boring because you did not give it a chance, because the things they were actually doing in the ring actually was some pretty impressive, crazy things that they were doing. Her going to sleep, I don't mind that as a finish. How we got there, yeah, it kind of seemed anticlimactic, but it probably also was because they were shitting on the match too. But the good thing, though, when they started some of the boring chants, it kind of stopped right away. It didn't pick up too much steam, at least from my perspective of how I felt about it.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought the match actually wasn't A for what it. Again, maybe I'm grading on a curve, but just the moves that they did, some of those hits, no, they weren't MMA, I'm going to knock you out hits, but they were closed fists. Some of them were closed fists. I appreciated the match. I love MMA. So to be able to get like two of my favorite combat styles of physical wrestling and combat MMA, I was happy.
So you gave it a B?
I'm giving it an A.
You gave it an A.
I said I started it with it. I said I'm starting with the A.
Yeah,
it was to the point. No, it was just it was just straight to the point, and it did what it was supposed to do.
Real quickie. E may be onto something about you being a Cody hater.
Why is that?
You give Cody and Brock.
What'd I give them?
A B.
Okay.
You give Shayna and Ronda an A. You are saying Shayna and Ronda was a better match than Cody and Brock.
Yeah, because I just said I was grading it on a curve, remember?
You are never beating these allegations. You are never beating these allegations.
I literally said that I was grading it on a curve already.
You are like R. Kelly. You are like...
Oh, don't ever put me in that company.
Who else ain't never beating these allegations?
Don't ever put me in that. No, don't you ever put me in that.
Now Donald Trump.
No,
you ain't never beating these allegations.
No. All right, so we going. Hey, but hey, we gonna fast forward through, Matt. But hey, one thing I want to do, I'm previewing for you guys, our viewers and friends, and even my two co-hosts. We're going to talk about very soon the state of women's wrestling in the industry right now. I think it's kind of a problem, especially some of the things we see online. And I like Ronda. She's a sister, right? She got a little bit of black in her. Right? So so she, so
her grandma was black.
I support her. No, it's the grandpa.
Oh,
great grandpa. Great grandpa. I like Shayna too. I'm a big fan of Shayna.
I love Shayna.
But I just was like, it's, I don't think the WWE, the writing team, made me or a lot of viewers care enough about that match. I know you guys had that great go home video, like before the show, but like we sat through a lot of stuff with them all year, and it hasn't been flattering. So, one day soon, and there's been a lot of scuttlebooty online about the different matches and the match quality on AEW and on WWE TV. On our podcast, we generally grade some of the women's matches poorly. We as far as the tag team division, we graded poorly. So one day we're gonna have a conversation about the state of wrestling, state of women's wrestling, because I would say it was probably a high maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. In some ways, I don't know specifically what it is. Just me as a fan, my enjoyment of it has lessened. There's a lot of women I like, but there's a lot of these storylines I don't like. It's some of these matches I haven't been that interested in. And in addition to, I think, a weak story for the two of them, I think that, like you said, you got to get up and use the bathroom at some point. You got to get the kids some refreshments. What match are you going to do it on? Is it the match that people aren't invested in? Because it's been, the match almost came out of nowhere, just like a month ago. I don't think it's been built that well. I know there's some promos that you guys have liked, maybe not me, but I think overall it was kind of put in a bad spot because, and here's the thing about wrestling, is the insider stuff. The wrestlers, the shows they kind of have their, okay, if you need to take a break, this is the match we're going to give you a break, right? They have those buffer matches in between things, and I think this was probably built to kind of be one. But if you gave it a chance, and I hope people did, I didn't, unfortunately. Yours, agreed with a great match, but I think there's a general, I think there's an overall problem with the wrestling right now.
I do think too that typically shows have, like you talked about, a buffer match. Typically they have like a buffer segment, either some type of musical performance or some type of promo segment or some type of backstage segment that's minutes long that can, circumvent that, or, you can do whatever you need to do. We didn't get any of that on this show.
We got the live one, right? That was like 3 minutes, wasn't it?
No, that wasn't that long. No.
Okay.
That wasn't that long. And the funny thing is, and you talk about what you just said, we can talk about that on Wednesday's pod if you want to, but Triple H said at the press conference afterwards that nothing was cut from the show. Remember, there was a lot of talk about Trish and Becky being cut. Anything with Rhea being cut. Yeah, he said nothing was cut from the show. Which tells you then that if he's telling the truth, I don't think he was. Actually, I know he wasn't. That match was scheduled for this show.
You think he's capped?
Yes. If you take that for his word, though, which he should have said that. And so after what he said was, we got 7 hours of TV to write a week, including NXT, 5 hours for Raw and SmackDown. We got to be able to use some of these stories and matches for weekly TV. Mm-hmm. But if you say Becky and Trish was never meant to be on SummerSlam, then you're saying one of the bigger storylines in regards to time invested on TV since before WrestleMania was not getting paid off at SummerSlam. We know that's a lie.
I give you that. No, you're right, because I still didn't really care for seeing it yesterday at SummerSlam, because I do like these shorter 7-8 matches max at a pay-per-view. But you're right. This whole year, that's pretty much been the storyline. The Usos and them.
Yep. In Judgment Day. So, yeah, so he's capping on that. But I guess we see it in 2 weeks. But my point, I was about to go somewhere where you were talking about the women. And I can't remember. So we can move on. Gunther versus Drew.
One thing we could hear in stadium seats far away from the middle of the ring. Them Gunther hits, them chops, them slaps. Dog. I'm just never let down by him. Like, again, I was trying to find, listening to the pod that we did, I think last pod, that word for Gunther. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, I want to call him an MVP at this point, because I am not let down when I watch him go in the ring. He is just like how I said about Bryan Danielson. Mm-hmm. He's efficient. Everything he does is a purpose. He gets in there and get the job done, and that's it. Have a nice day.
Oh, I know what it would be if he was getting an award. It would be the Mr. Consistent Award.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's like, we haven't seen him with a bad match. And the time he does have a bad match, we're gonna be like, "Whoa, what was that? What happened?"
Yeah,
because we're not used to it. I honestly, if he sticks to his style of match, I think he's incapable of having a bad match. I don't think he would have one. Something would have to go extremely wrong in terms of chemistry with whoever he's in. But if he sticks to his style of match, which one of the things I absolutely love, and I didn't realize it until the finish, which I can't believe it was clean. He beat him right in the middle. What is Gunther's finisher? What's his finishing move?
Powerbomb.
Yeah, it's like this, like a floating. Then he sit down on it, or he throws you down on it. Like
no, he powerbombed straight down, and then he bridges.
Is that his finishing move?
That's his finish.
Yeah. Or is that just what he beat Drew with last night?
That's his finish.
Okay, I'm gonna start.
Go back and watch some of his bigger moves, or his bigger matches. He doesn't have the same finish.
Stop it.
There are some people he beats with a clothesline. There's some people, yes. Go and if you were like to Google like his matches and then like
he did
finish
his top 3 matches. I mean, his top 3 moves all back to back and pinned him.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, he hit him with a combo. He definitely hit him with a Street Fighter Killer Instinct combo. But yeah, like so that I love that too. Like he beats you in whatever way makes the most sense for that said match.
How cool is that?
But yeah, what y'all think about Drew losing? And I'm gonna say he lost clean. Yeah, he got thrown off the top rope and he landed on the top rope, and then the moves happened. But to me, that was still clean in the middle. There was no interference by anybody. He didn't cheat to win. We said like, hey, he's not losing the belt. He's gonna hit Honky Tonks, 435 day reign or whatever it is in a couple weeks, and then maybe he'll lose it at Payback. To Drew, I don't even know. I know E, you said you wanted Drew in the world title picture. Drew also came out. Let's see if he's working or not. He said he's not for a heel turn because of all the work he does outside the ring. He talked about the work he did at Special Olympics. He's like, it would have to be like a bulletproof reason for him to be heel, but he's not high on turning heel. I think there's still money in a heel Drew. But did you guys see him beating Drew clean? I didn't.
I'll be completely honest with you. When Drew came out, and I'm like, I'm a Drew girl. I'm a Drew girl. I didn't realize that I loved Gunther as much as I did. I was like, fuck Drew. So
dang, it was kind of like Gravity.
It was like, okay. Because Gravity was on our TV twice in 1 week. Like, but stop. It's not like I'm a hater. It's not like, no, I'm not gonna do that. That's not right. That's not fair. I thought I was a Drew girl. I saw him in that ring, and I'm like, you know what, Drew, keep it moving. This is Gunther's time to shine. Keep moving.
Wow.
So seeing him getting finished clean in the middle of the ring, sure. Because when I saw him, I was like, nope, he's not deserving to get this title. That's so mean to say. All right, let me stop. Because I sound like a hater all over the place. I need some sleep. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's definitely been a long travel day for us. But yeah, because I didn't know. To answer your question, Matt, I did not see a clean finish. I don't know what I expected to be on that match.
Right.
I was surprised that he won clean like that. Cause he hit all his signature finishers on him and then pinned him. Right? It's like I didn't expect that. Cause I expected like a kick out or something like that. But no, he hit like all of his little signature finishers and boom. It. And he was like, that was it. Fold him up, count him out. Like, right? So match was good. Match. The 2 observations. So I was really impressed by how big Omos is, right? Even from a distance. I'm also really impressed by how big Drew is.
Dude, he's massive. He's a giant, man.
He's another one. He's another big man. Oh, and another one was Brock. Brock is huge, right? I didn't talk about him, but I knows how big Brock was, Omos was, and then Drew. Drew is a big guy. And one thing when I look at him standing next to Gunther, and I noticed even on television, like Drew's like much bigger.
He is.
And
you're talking muscular. You're not talking about even height. You're talking about I mean, like he has. Yeah, he's got a lot more just muscle mass. I mean, Drew's a giant. I've always said Drew.
He's a big guy.
But he wrestles like he's a cruiserweight because he's so athletic.
Yep.
At
he
times,
doesn't wrestle.
Like he'll do.
He doesn't
wrestle
guy.
like a big man. He could, if he wanted to, he could work a Brock Lesnar type match. But he doesn't do that. But if he wanted to, he could easily be the big man that like, oh, it's the spot to knock him off his feet. You know what I mean? You've been working all match just to knock. He could do that if he wanted to. Yeah,
absolutely. Because he wrestles like he's a he wrestles a heavyweight style, but he definitely in this world is more of a super heavyweight as far as how tall he is and how thick he is. And that's when I looked at Gunther. You know, he wrestles more of the super heavyweight style.
Yep.
Right. But you look at the two of them, compare, like, you know, he's like half of Drew's size. So that was just really interesting to me. I didn't think any way about it other than I just was amazed by how big that man was. But I'll give the match I give it a B. Give it a B.
I'm going B. I'm going B also. What are you going, Rhodesia?
I think I'm going to can we just report at the end of the show and I just change all my grades?
You was like, oh, I just looked. I'm going to get that at A too.
I'm going to get that at A too. Get out of my head. Jeez.
We did come out and say, or I said on the preview show, if every match was not at least very solid to like good, something went wrong. Only match that was not that for me was the main event. So something went wrong in that main event.
So I can give everybody an A. I give everybody good. Thank you.
Seth and Finn. I'm sorry. When I said I was trying to go back and forth between my favorite match of the night between Brock and Cody, and I said the women's triple threat, this is also one of the main events. Put this in there too. They smoked the finish sequence of this. One of the highlights of the entire pay-per-view was Judgment Day coming out, Damian Priest coming out, doing that whole thing. The match was what it was, which we knew the match would be good. But people were kind of just watching the entrance ramp for the entire match to see when Judgment Day, because you knew when they came out. Yeah. So this match is a perfect example of what I'm talking about with the main event. When Judgment Day hit the ring, that was, okay, now it's pedal to the metal. Right? That was, if we were in second gear, we are now in third and fourth gear.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, nothing changed in that main. But what we think. So Finn loses again. I loved his 7 mark over his, you know, his shoulder where he had the surgery at. Introduced, they both look like $1 million. We saw the match. Which match was, Seth is fantastic. So is Finn too, but
they both
Seth is another one that he doesn't have the same match. Like, so creative in some of the spots that they do. You want to talk about hope spots and false finishes. This match had about 3 of them that you're like, oh, I just knew that was old. I just knew that was it. I just knew that was it. Oh man, that wasn't it. It was. I thought, like, I don't want to say masterful, but it was damn near masterful how good that match was.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like when Damian at the very, like the end sequence, when Damian looked at Finn, like Finn couldn't get the job done with the support, that he lost some respect for Finn. Did you get that vibe?
I didn't watch it on TV, but I think you can look at it and give me your thoughts too. I think you can look at it 2 different ways. I think there was a look at Finn and there was also a look at Seth. And the look at Seth with that 3 count hit and they made eye contact was one of the best parts of the entire pay-per-view to me. Because like what you're saying, Damian, that look could have been like, how the fuck did you drop the ball?
Yeah.
Or the look also could have been like, I'm on your head now. Like, to Seth, like, all right, you got away with this one today, but So, I don't know.
I'm gonna give my grade right now. I'm gonna give it a C.
Oh wow!
Because I told you I wasn't trying to see that shit.
Wow.
And they gave me exactly what I wasn't trying to see. So and I kept watching.
You talking about the finish or the match?
Finish. I told you I want to see that finish. And I didn't want to see that. I'm not ready for the Judgment Day to break up. I think they're still valuable together, but that man, I almost cussed again with a different thing I don't like to do on air. Finn got to go.
Where Finn going?
He got to go. He effing up. He effing up the crew dynamic. That's what I got from it. He effing up the crew dynamic. Damian came down there. They had a whole plan for him to win this thing. Damian gave him the briefcase. Finn no, I don't want to. What are you talking about, bro? Take that damn briefcase, bro.
I was surprised by that, and I don't know what they were saying on commentary, but you're right. Like, because they came down, he interfered, I think, already once, and then he gave him the briefcase, and then he was like, why are you down here? I don't want the briefcase. And so I was a little confused by that. Like, when was the pact that I'm winning clean?
What you talking about, fam? Run the play. Run the play, man. You a bad guy. That's what we do. Run the play, right? He talking about he want to run the play, so he mess up that play, right? And then all of a sudden now you want to change a new play. Like, all right, here's the briefcase, about to go do your thing. And then he messed that up too. Like, you ruined the crew, man. You got to go. Like, right? You got to go. It's time to go. And if he goes, like, what's he going to do? He's going to go back to being, bland Finn Balor as a babyface nobody really wants to see. Like, no one's going to rally behind Finn against the Judgment Day.
He's going to be AJ part 2.
He's going to
be
Bullet
Club guys. These Bullet Club guys outside of Japan.
Oh my God! Like, it's all bad. Like, so I don't really see where this goes. That's going to be that it makes ultimate sense. I think that, like I said, Dom and Rhea are going to keep going. Obviously, Damien has the money in the briefcase, so there's no story for him. But this ain't going to end too well for Finn because he looked like a clown. That's what I got out of it and I wasn't trying to see all that. So I'm giving it to see because it gave me something I didn't want to see. Finn looks stupid. I know on Raw, there's no way he can explain this that make it make sense. Like, bro, you run the play, you fumbled the ball, and you got pinned. End of the story. It's time to go, or you need to bow down. 1 and 2, bow out.
But he needs to now, and I think that was part of that look that Damien gave. Like, he's like, I'm disgusted with you, okay, but come Raw at this point now, I'm going for it. And you better get in line behind me because I'm about to go for it. Well, y'all know what I'm going to give this match.
You going A?
I'm going A. Keep it going.
This match is an A. This match is an A for me. I also love too Seth wearing the vest that he wore when they had their original match at SummerSlam. That was what he threw at Finn. The black and yellow vest. I think it was black and yellow. Okay. Yep. When I saw it, I was like, I think he wore that. Yep, and that's what it was. Mm-hmm. So you didn't like the match either, E, or did the ending just disgust you that much?
I was waiting for the ending. I knew it was happening, and so I got anxious. Like, oh, they're gonna give me that finish I don't want. So, like, for me, I knew. God, I told you, for me, it's not just about like the start in the middle. It's all about how you finish. Like, I'll tell you what. Like, as a career, I'd have horrible starts, man. I horribly start. But
are we talking about real life right now? Okay.
Really real life. Oh yeah.
You finished strong.
Oh yeah. So I tell people like, oh yeah, I gotta go blah blah. No. Hey, look, I fumble a lot. I try to figure out a lot of things, and it don't work out. But eventually I do, and at the end of the quarter, I'll pull out for the W. And that's all that matters for me in life. That's just how it works, because it don't matter when you're playing a game, right? If you can lose quarters 1, 2, and 3, right? But it's all about the fourth quarter and the end of the game score. It don't matter if I won by a point. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter if I won by 10 points. A dub is a dub, right? Mm-hmm. So in these matches, for me, that's important. Like, you can have a great start and a great middle, but if you fumble the end, like, then I'm out. And I knew, and not necessarily it was just for me personally as a fan, I just didn't want to see that ending. I want to see Judgment Day strong. I actually want to see Finn as champion. I think he deserves a legit run with the championship. I don't think we're going to get that. I don't think ever at this point. I think that ship is sailed. Yeah. I think that ship is sailed and it's down to China. Like, right.
So let me ask you: would you rather have? It's either one or the other. Because he wasn't going to win the title, because we see now he didn't, right? So we know that wasn't the plan. Would you rather have the finish that you had, or would you rather have Finn gotten beat clean in the middle with no shenanigans?
I don't want to see that either.
So if you had to pick, which one would you pick? Because it's got to be one or the other.
I'll pick going to the bathroom like I did during Shayna and Ronda's match.
That's crazy talk.
I'm going to go with the first. Yeah, I don't want to see him losing clean in the middle. Even though integrity-wise, I should say that. But no. Because I still wanted Finn to win. But
we know this is part of the story.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm excited to see what they do. Co-main event. Asuka, Charlotte, Bianca. A lot happened in this match. Mm-hmm. And I remember... So I thought the match was... strong again. I know. Let's just talk about the finish.
Okay.
Because I don't know who the producer was. But I thought the entire finish it made everybody look fantastic. you got Bianca with the hurt spot. She gets back in the ring. They do their thing. Gets hit with the figure 8. Asuka hits her with the mist. She goes to kick Bianca to knock her out so she can make the pin. Figure 4 is still on.
What?
Bianca ducks it, pins her. 1, 2, 3. Bianca wins the championship. I was so shocked.
Yep.
I was shocked. And then about 5 seconds into Bianca's music hit, I stood up, I looked at Rhodesia, I tapped her, and I was like, EO. And I kid you not, almost as soon as I said it, her music hit. And then we got the business that we got. Only in wrestling. And we can say like, hey, it's part of the show. We also can say like, hey, you take it too serious or you don't take it serious enough. Only in wrestling, a babyface hurts herself in the match. Doesn't cheat to win the championship. Wins the championship. Gets cheered. And then there's even more cheers for somebody who goes after her injured leg and cashes in a contract after she's wrestled for 20 minutes and gets a "you deserve it" chant. Only wrestling fans. Only in wrestling does that make sense. Imagine trying to explain that to somebody who doesn't watch wrestling. Like, hold on a second. Didn't y'all just like that girl who won the championship?
Like 5 seconds ago.
Oh yeah, but you got to understand, like she, that's hilarious. But let's talk about the finish, the match. EO cashing in. This was, once again, if they would have said good night from Detroit with EO holding up the championship belt, I would have said top 5 pay-per-view of all time.
You should have just left after that.
Top 5 pay-per-view of all time.
all the time. I can't get past the new Asuka. I mean, because I'm a mark for her, and her facials after she realized she lost and this thing she did with her tongue and all that. Like, I'm just like, I actually couldn't realize that Bianca won because I'm processing what I'm seeing in Asuka's face, and I'm just like, that to me like stands out the most. And of course when EO comes out, but like that to me is captivating to me. Like, she's in this character and she's like, that's her reaction of, oh my God, I just lost this. I just lost my title after I thought I was going to win. So to me, that was my probably moment of the night as far as just that face. I'm quite sure I have a whole bunch of favorite moments of the night, but that's like the one that stands out to me the most. Just how she looked in. I mean, of course, and you mentioned everything with EO coming out and how Bailey taking him out. She tossed the briefcase to her to have Bailey take him out. Man, that was just
they were
so
hauling
awesome.
ass. It didn't come across on TV as fast as they were running down that ramp. They were hauling.
I'd have passed out by the time I got down
to the ring. They were hauling to get to the ring. And it was also cool too that this was like the year anniversary of Damage Control getting together. So to see Dakota come in, like all of that, right? Like, and this is a heel faction. Let's remember that too. And we're all sitting there popping and clapping and you deserve it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was a good match actually. We're gonna talk about women's wrestling on another show, but this was some of the best of it. I'm a huge Bianca fan. Matt told me that she was never gonna win a championship ever again in life.
I ain't say ever again. I just said this time.
He said never. He's like that's never gonna happen. That was the first thing. As soon as she got that dub, I'm like, Matt, I told you my girl was gonna come through, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh,
that went crazy.
Like, right? And so, like, for me as a fan, I want to say I got deflated. I just went, shit, right? Because I knew that title run was gonna be short lived. I knew it, but Sky's been a fan of. I've been a fan of hers since she's been in NXT. I'm like, all right, well, if it got to be somebody, I'm glad it's her, right?
Yep.
And I felt like there was a time this as a fan, kind of like with Cody, I felt like the company didn't do right by her. Yep. They were kind of wasting her a little bit, and I'm glad and proud that she's actually in a position that she is right now as women's champion, her first run. I hope it goes well. I was excited to see it just because I've been a fan of hers. Like, I'm like, hey, if it gotta be anybody, I'm glad it's her. So like my disappointment, very soon and slowly, slowly turned into, at first it was kind of like a golf clap. I'm like, all right, at the same time, they came out there, the Bianca is holding a knee, she's hurt, and Sky is hitting her with the briefcase, hit her with the
she did a Tanya Hart in her.
Right in the knee.
Took her out.
Oh man, just took it out real dastardly, right? So as a fan of Bianca, I'm like, dang, this ain't right. This is wrong. But I'm a fan of Sky too, so I'm glad she's able to do it. It was a nice ending. Bianca came in there. It was cool seeing Dakota. Very cool seeing Dakota in the ring. I was kind of trying to watch her a little bit. I thought she still had the leg injury. She didn't seem to be favoring.
No, she looked good.
Heavily.
Yeah, she looked good. And she got a
she was
huge
walking.
ovation too. It came across on TV because I wanted to hear how that came across. She got actually one of the bigger reactions of the night. She
did. Yep. And it was nice to see her. I don't know where she's at from being cleared or not, but I'm glad that she's at least back on television, at least in that moment, to share that spotlight with her friend. And it was really good. It was, like I said, that was a really great match. I give that another A, top to bottom. Great women's wrestling. Nice surprise win. And then an even bigger surprise, secondary win, right, with Sky's champion.
I'm giving that an A. I don't think I said it. But I'm giving it an A.
What I'm going to give that.
Yep.
I actually want to give that A+.
I'm giving it an A.
There's two things, factual things I want to say. One, I know for a fact is a fact. The other one I think is a fact, but so I'm going to roll with it and act like it's a fact. So the first one is, and I heard it on commentary, that the women of the winners of the Money in the Bank for women are 100% successful cash in. And when you go back and think about it, you're like, oh, wow, that is right. But that's incredible. I mean, two, your girl Bianca holds the record for the longest reigning Raw champion and also the shortest reigning.
So let me tell you real quick
why two records.
Why I thought the ending was genius. Absolutely genius. So everybody has a beef. Charlotte has a beef because she had Bianca in the figure 8. And still had it locked in. Asuka has a beef because with Io now, because you are the champion and you didn't even pin me, and I was the champ. So we get that program, which I can't wait.
Cannot wait for that.
Of course, Bianca has a beef, right? But we know this isn't Bianca's time to have the championship. But I love that they gave her another title reign really, really quick, and they didn't give it to Charlotte, so she, quote unquote, wasted her 15th title reign. I'm glad they didn't do that, because then we look at that as, oh, you just padded her stats for no reason. Yeah. So that was, to me, the most logical. You give it to Bianca, so now she wins it again. Asuka has a major beef with Io. Charlotte has a major beef that she should be so like they did enough to where like everybody has a beef, and it is rightfully so. That's why I was just like, man, that was awesome. That was super, super cool. I give it an A, and then I am excited now what happens with Damage Control, because you can easily see Bayley taking credit for it.
Yeah.
So we definitely gonna go down this road of it. Maybe it's something similar to what Christian's doing with Luchasaurus. This is my belt. Oh, I'm sorry, it's our belt. It's your belt. I could see that starting as early as this week.
Okay, I know this is our SummerSlam recap, but if y'all listening, or the ones that are listening here, you gotta go back and watch that segment on Collision with Christian and his daughter. My God,
his promo was fantastic.
Is a heel at home in his personal life. He threw his own daughter under the bus and ran that bitch
security
over.
On his daughter. Man, oh man, only
Christian.
Man.
Only Christian would do this. So
only Christian. Of course, we talked main event, so we don't have to touch that again. So overall, of course, I think we all give the show 2 thumbs up, right? But give your overall thoughts about either just the live in person perspective, the show in general. Just let's wrap it up with a bow.
Overall, 2 thumbs up. I think the SummerSlam delivered, even in the Battle Royal that I really didn't care about. It was still a great SummerSlam / WrestleMania moment. So just overall, besides the main event, that was a little bit lackluster. But watching it back on replay, I felt a whole lot different. Overall, I thought this was probably one of the better SummerSlams I've seen.
Yeah, overall, I want to say it was a great show. I hope that anybody who's never been to Detroit, hope you were impressed by Ford Field, because I definitely was. I thought it was a nice arena, nice stadium. I've never been there before, and so I hope anybody else that was their first time or your first taste of Detroit, downtown, was really cleaned up. That looked great. The arena was great. The matches for the most part, well, I would say 90% of them were good, except for the main event. The main event just didn't deliver for something that I wanted to see in the future. I mean, I'm sure my mind was going to change once they have to start telling the story with the bloodline, wherever they're going next. I'll get invested in it, but right now I'm kind of off of it a little bit. But I'm sure they get me back into it. But overall, 2 thumbs up. I recommend the show up until the main event.
Oh, come on.
That's real.
No, it's real for y'all.
Good
no,
night from Detroit. With Io with the biggest smile on her face, jumping up and down, and then we fade to black, and that's where the video package is shown. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss on that. I agree wholeheartedly. I forgot to mention too, Kairi Sane is returning to WWE. She posted on she posted on her Twitter last night. She's gonna have a press conference on Monday, and PW Insider confirmed Sunday that she is coming back to WWE, which is incredible.
Wow.
I thought she asked to go back home because I guess maybe they didn't have anything for her.
But she was homesick.
Yeah. Because, well, anybody, Vince McMahon makes anybody homesick.
Stop.
He's gone now. Triple H called her, was like, look, I got some major pay-per-views I'm not going to use you on. Come back home. And she's like, sure, let's do it.
He's still there though, man. But this is something we got to talk about.
But he's spinal surgery.
Too. Hey, look,
he don't have spinal surgery. That was because he got raided. That's a lie about the spinal surgery. We know that now.
My back.
hey, look. Hey, it's like Mike Tyson all over again. My back is broken. What's wrong with it? Spinal. Vince turned into, that's what he told the feds. Sure like, hey, my back is broke.
What you mean it's broke?
But we got to talk about, look, we're on the next pod, guys. We got to talk about the state of women's wrestling. We got to talk about Vince McMahon and what does this mean? All this trouble. Is he worth the trouble that he's causing, right? And how does that affect what's going on behind the scenes and getting creative? We got to follow up on Raw. We got a lot of big topics on the next show, guys. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and we also have, they made some really big announcements on Collision around All In, around All Out, and around Dynamite and Collision for next week. So we'll get into all that on Wednesday's show also. All right, guys. Well, that is a wrap. Thank you guys for listening to our SummerSlam post show. We definitely enjoyed ourselves in Detroit. Looking forward to what is coming next for, I guess, Payback. So some of this stuff could be ran back. But Monday should tell us a lot. With Cody, Drew,
Judgment Day.
Yeah, Judgment Day. There's a lot to be invested in on Raw, and arguably maybe even more to be invested in on SmackDown. So we're looking at another fantastic week of wrestling. So thank you guys for listening. Talked about Twitter already. That's F&W. YouTube, that's Freakin Wrestling. Hit us up with some 5-star reviews and some comments. That helps us in the rankings and everything else that the algorithms do for the podcast. Wherever you listen to your podcast, subscribe, get us some 5 stars and all that kind of good stuff. We'll be right back at you guys on a Wednesday with a brand new pod. We will talk to you then. Peace.